Loki, how Thor got his hammer. Thor was the strongest of all the gods. He had a red beard and fiery eyes and rode in a chariot drawn by two goats. Thor was very quick to lose his temper, but he was equally quick to get it back again. Thor's wife, Sif, had the most beautiful hair in all the universe. Made of gold, Sif's hair gleamed like summer wheat blowing in the wind. One night while Sif slept, the mischief maker, Loki, crept into her chamber and cut off all her hair. When Sif woke up and discovered her hair was gone, she screamed, then collapsed with grief. Thor flew into a rage and searched everywhere for Loki, for he knew this was the work of the trickster. When he finally found Loki, Thor threatened to kill him. "No, please, spare me," Loki cried. "I'll restore Sif's hair. I promise it will be more beautiful than before." "Do as you promised," growled Thor, "or I will slay you with my own hands." Loki scampered away from Thor and hurried to Nidavellir, the world of the dwarves. He went straight to the cave of some dwarves, who were known as Ivaldi's sons. "You must make new hair for the goddess Sif," Loki commanded Ivaldi's sons. Eager to win favor with the gods, the dwarves set to work at once and spun beautiful golden hair for Sif. "We have two other gifts for the gods as well," said one dwarf. He then presented Loki with a ship made of gold and said, "Please give this boat to Frey. On the sea, it will bring forth a good breeze all by itself, and will carry as many sailors as Frey wishes. On land, it can be folded up and carried in his pocket." Another dwarf gave Loki a shining spear. "Take this magic spear to Odin," he said. "Nothing can keep it from hitting its target." Loki thanked the dwarves, then set off for home. But on his way back to Asgard, a sneaky idea came to Loki, and he quickly turned around and hurried back to Nidavellir. Soon he came to the cave of two dwarves named Sindri and Brock. "Look at these amazing gifts," Loki said to the two dwarves. "The sons of Ivaldi have made them for the gods. I'll bet you cannot do as well. In fact, I'll wager my own head that you can't." "Your head?" "Indeed, you may cut off my head, but you must not injure any other part of me." "Okay, good. Let's get to work," Sindri said to Brock. "Not only will we prove we can do better work than Ivaldi's sons, but we'll have the pleasure of lopping off this mischief maker's head." Sindri placed a pigskin in the furnace, then gave Brock a pair of bellows. "While I'm out of the room, pump the fire," he said. "If you stop, it will not be hot enough and all will be lost." As Brock pumped the bellows, Loki feared that these dwarves might win the wager. So he quickly changed into a fly and bit Brock's hand. Brock cried out in pain, but still he kept pumping the bellows. When Sindri returned and lifted the pigskin from the fire, Loki cried out with astonishment. The pigskin had been changed into a golden boar with a gleaming mane and bristles. Sindri then placed a lump of gold into the furnace and commanded Brock to fan the fire. As Brock pumped the bellows, Loki changed into a fly again and bit Brock's neck. Though Brock cried out in agony, he kept pumping the bellows. When Sindri returned, he took the lump of gold from the fire. Loki gasped, for the lump had been changed into a glittering golden arm ring. Sindri next placed a piece of iron into the fire. "Pump again," he told Brock. While Brock pumped the bellows, Loki changed into a fly for the third time and bit Brock on his eyelids. Brock shouted with pain, but still he kept working. And when Sindri took the iron from his fire, he held up an enormous silver hammer. "Take these 3 gifts to Asgard," said Sindri, "and let the gods say who are the best craftsmen." When Loki and Brock journeyed together to Asgard, the gods and the goddesses gathered in their council. "Now you must say which gifts are better," said Loki, "those made by the sons of Ivaldi, or those made by Sindri and Brock." First, Loki presented Sif with her new golden hair. "Place this hair on your head," he told her, "and it will magically start growing from your scalp." Sif did as Loki said, and her new hair gleamed in the torchlight. Indeed, it was more beautiful than her own hair. Next, Loki gave the magic spear to Odin and the magic boat to Frey, and the gods and goddesses greatly admired both gifts. But then Brock stepped forward. "These gifts are from Sindri and myself," he said. First, the dwarf presented Frey with the golden boar. "This boar will run through the air and over the water faster than any horse. Wherever he goes, he will give light to the dark." Next, Brock presented the golden arm ring to Odin. "This gold will keep making gold for you," he said. 8 rings of the same weight will drop from this ring every 9th night. Finally, Brock presented the huge hammer to Thor. "You may strike this hammer as hard as you please, and it will never be damaged. It never misses its target, and it always returns to your hand." Thor bowed before the dwarf. "Thank you for the most important gift of all," he said. "Now I can protect Asgard from the giants." "Indeed," said Odin, "it is clear that Brock and Sindri have outdone the sons of Ivaldi." The gods and goddesses cheered. "And it is also clear that Loki has lost his wager," said Thor. Before Loki could scamper away, Thor grabbed him by the hair. Then Brock held a knife to Loki's neck. "I'm afraid Brock must take your head off now," Thor said to Loki. "Ah, of course," said Loki. "But remember, Brock, I said you could only cut off my head as long as you did not injure any other part of me, and that includes my neck." When Brock realized that this feat was impossible, he was forced to let Loki go. Indeed, the gods and goddesses were even a bit grateful to Loki. Though he'd brought them terrible grief, he'd made up for it by bringing them many amazing gifts, including the most wondrous gift of all, Thor's mighty hammer.